What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1987 Subaru Brat. Up front is a 1.8 liter flat four, and down below is a 4-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Subaru Brat for a bunch of reasons. I think these cars are super unique, super different, and just an all-out hoot and a half to drive. So that is always super exciting to me. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker pack I have available for just $10 with free shipping. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form to make a video just like this one. And you can read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 1.8 liter flat four up at the front. Well, this is actually a second generation Brat. The first generation had a 1.6 liter. So this actually gets a slightly bigger engine than the first gen. However, it is still carbureted and it doesn't make much horsepower at all. It of course is a flat engine because it's a Subaru, and you're not seeing it now, but normally the spare tire would actually mount right behind the engine in the engine bay. You can sort of see the dish for it, which I always think is a really unique feature of these older style Subarus. Like I said, paired to a 4-speed manual transmission, I absolutely love the feeling of it. The bushings have gone away, and the clutch grabs really high up, but the actual driving experience, the clutch is nice and light, very springy, very easy to get in and out of gear, and it's very forgiving as well. It just says, sure, throw it in gear, let's have a good time. And a good time we're gonna have. Last but not least, the Brat is 4-wheel drive, of course. However, when it's not in 4-wheel drive, it's actually passively in front-wheel drive, which is interesting. It only engages the rear wheels when it's in 4-wheel drive mode. Kind of interesting. However, the second generation's actually got a 2-speed transfer case. So with the drivetrain out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of different gauges, very 80s. On the left, I have my voltage and fuel, then my speedometer. Gotta love that 55 mile an hour speedometer, of which I made a mini documentary about if you're interested in why 55 miles an hour is highlighted. Then on the right, I have my tachometer, oil pressure, and coolant temperature. The steering wheel has these little nubs for your hands, but actually doesn't have any spokes until very low on the steering wheel, very 80s. Of course, no airbag here in the 87 Brat, but that's okay. Off to the left, I have my headlight switch, which is this nice dial on the side. I really like that. And then on the door, I have my roll-up windows, my latch to get in and out, and that's basically it as well. Moving into the center, I do have climate control vents. Then we get some climate controls. I have fan speed, temperature off to the right, and of course my different levels and whatnot down below. Then I do have the factory Subaru radio. Absolutely love this. It looks almost identical to the 79 Mazda RX-7 radio. Absolutely love that. So period correct. And down below I have a Subaru cassette deck from Claron, which also did Mazda's radios at the time. Interesting little fact. And I have this Pro mode. So right now I am driving this Subaru Brat as an amateur, but now I'm a pro. And boy, do I feel like it. Yeah! Then we get the really tall shifter. It does have a pretty tall shifter throw, but to be expected out of basically a light pickup truck. And really anything from this era, it's gonna have a pretty long throw. Then I have my 4-wheel drive settings. Now I get this nice little plaque off to the right that shows me my dual range for 4 high and 4 low, which is pretty unique. Then I get my handbrake and little center console, meaning there are no cup holders in the Subaru Brat, so it fails the big friggin' bottle test, unfortunately. Now we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are very plush and comfortable, very 80s, very 90s, and exactly what I would expect. However, speaking of seats, we do have a bed Let's go talk about that because there's an interesting seating arrangement that was optional for this. All right, so we're on the back of the Subaru Brat from 1987, and that is a very important distinction. You might be wondering, Zach, where are the seats that go back here? So, from the original conception of the Brat up until 1986, or through 1986, there were two jump seats that would go back here that faced this way. I'll show a picture here of what they look like outside of the vehicle, but they've faced that way, and that was to avoid the chicken tax. The chicken tax here in America is a tax put on pickup trucks to encourage domestic purchases. While importing these from Japan, if you imported them as a pickup truck, there was a 25% tax on these vehicles. However, if it had seats in the back or had a second row of seats, it wasn't technically a pickup truck, and so they were imported with a only 4% tax as opposed to 25. So manufacturers would put seats in weird places just to get by that tax. It was cheaper to make these plastic seats than to pay the US's import laws. However, that law changed and became more relaxed in 1987, and so the back seats were no longer required, and so Subaru didn't give them to all of their Brat purchasers. So unfortunately, this does not have the seats. However, you can actually see the brackets where they would go. Those are the seating brackets. Very, very interesting, and I hope to one day review a Subaru Brat with the official seats. I'd love to do a first gen, but for now, no back seats. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and obviously one of the most polarized and coolest parts of the Subaru Brat. Now, this Subaru Brat has been customized quite a bit by the owner, Al, and she has done this awesome artwork on the Subaru Brat. I really, really dig it. However, I just like how angular the Subaru Brat is at all. It's a very different look than more modern Subarus. Just 30 years ago, they were hard angles and square, and now they're so smooth. But now let's talk about the Subaru Brat as a whole. What do I think about this crazy, weird pickup truck thing from the 1970s and 80s? Well, first of all, I think it's incredibly cool. It's unique, it's different, and it's really, really fun. That's my biggest takeaway from this Subaru Brat, is just how fun this car really is. This car is down for anything. It has the four-wheel drive. It has a truck bed, and yet it drives and feels like a car. I can chuck it into gear, and it's very, very forgiving. It has some loud, pizzazzy pops when I get off the gas. Listen. Party time! This car really does feel like the life of the party, and not in the fact that it is just this obscure, loudmouth, brash person, but it's also someone you feel comfortable following. I've never driven a Subaru Brat until today, and as soon as I got into it, I felt comfortable with it. I feel like it was an old friendship, and yet we just met. I know instinctively where I can push this car and where I cannot. I know where to scratch its belly, and in my line of work, that doesn't always happen. Some cars make me feel incredibly alienated, but this doesn't. This embraces me with a friendly hug and maybe a pinch on the cheek. I'll let you decide which cheek gets pinched. There's just one big issue with these Subarus. And I say Subarus as a whole because it's across the board. Time and weather are not kind to these cars. The amount of rust on this car is not special. It's actually one of the few good ones left, if you can believe that. And so a lot of these, most of them, rusted away and are no longer around. This is the Chris Farley of cars. It's here for a good time, not a long time, but I'm in one now, and so I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy it a lot. Huge thank you to the owners, Al and Matt, for letting me take out this Subaru Brat. This is such a cool experience. I never want to get out of this car, I really don't. It's unfortunate that I have to give it back to them, but huge thank you to them. They have a YouTube channel where they have tons of weird cars. They just picked up a super rare Toyota camper that's a dually from the 1970s. It's called Wisco Shenanigans. It'll be linked in the description below. You can see more about the Brat. They have a Jeep mail truck, and now, of course, the new Toyota camper. Plenty of cool stuff. I highly recommend their channel, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.